Was there anything else that popped up while you were pulling up this data on Dr. Kim? Or any other lessons maybe that guys should pay attention to when it comes to stuff like that? I mean, like I sometimes see these stories and I think to myself, yeah, like you didn't know, like you didn't have a clue before you invited her into your world and decided to marry her. Like, is that something that you see happen a lot in your practice? Like, are guys deceived that often?
Yeah, they get deceived once in a while. And it's already too late. There are 1 or 2 children in. It could be a few years in. And what I see a lot, which I don't know how you could vet for this, but I see guys get married to their heart's desire. And then their heart's desire says, I got him. I don't have to take care of myself. I could do whatever I want. I could be disrespectful. I mean, that's really painful to see, but it happens a lot. And
well, I'll tell you how you can vet for that. I mean, like, watch how she behaves to other people that aren't you. I mean, if you're dealing with the actor, if you're dealing with the representative when you're going out to dinner and she's rude to the wait staff or, the busboy, the coat clerk, for example, the guy that parks your car, the valet, if she's rude to those guys, but she's pleasant to you, guess what, buddy? Because you're going to be next at some point too.
Totally.
She's going to pull that exact same move on you at some point in the very near future, probably after, the nuptials and the I-dos and all that sort of stuff.
Right, exactly. I just, in my notes, as I was reading about this case, you got to vet very carefully. And we say that every time, but even if you're the most careful vetter, people can change, and some can wear that mask just long enough to get married, and then you're finished. You got to stay firm to your truths. I see a lot of guys who they get married against their better judgment. I thought she was like the best I could do, and I didn't have that much experience, and my family was pushing me, and I like that warm body at night, and yikes, that's a recipe for disaster. But it happens a lot.
How long did they date before they got married? Did it say anywhere?
Well, if he was in a picture with her in 2011, I am assuming at least 4 years.
So 4 years. So he met her at the Miss Connecticut that she won, or around that time, married her in 2015. So, I mean, he gave it a good few years. I mean, I've always said you want to give it at least a couple of years to see what she's made of, right? See what happens when bad stuff happens in a relationship, how she handles stress, stuff like that, right?
Or if she doesn't get her way, or you give her the no. I'm not doing that.
Say no to a woman and watch how she responds. You're going to learn a lot about them when you do that.
Right. Now, if you're on your purpose and you're running a business, or you like to fish or hunt or play hockey, whatever brings you joy, and that's getting in her way, no, don't do it. I don't care who it is. You're going to end up in my office, and we don't want you here. We want you to be happy. But the title of tonight's talk was divorcing problem women. So I have like a short list of things that you might really want to have your guys think about. Number one thing, if you find yourself in a bad situation, now if you're not married, it doesn't matter. You could just walk. But there's exceptions to that too that I'll talk about in a minute. But keep your emotions in check. Never get emotional. Some of these folks are crazy on the other side. You don't know if they're a sociopath, a psychopath, narcissistic. So keep your emotions in check. It will just feed and perpetuate a bad divorce if you react to anything she says or does. All right. So gray rock is my watchword to the guys. Just gray rock it, man. Pass it over to me. You get a nasty text. She says something to you nasty outside the courtroom. Let it go. All right. Anything that's really relevant, pass it along to me, but don't start fighting. Always focus on the end game if you're going through a bad divorce. You want to get out of this with your skin, all right? You made a mistake. Somebody wants to take your head off for no fault of yours. Focus on the end game. And that's usually a good recipe to get everybody focused. And my side, calm, gray rock. Don't fight about it. You got to come to grips with the fact that you gave it your best shot. Don't beat yourself up. All right. More than half of the first marriages end in divorce anyway. You're not the first. You're not going to be the last. If there's no kids involved, thank goodness for that, because that's a whole nother issue. a whole set of issues, actually. So you want to just gray rock, come to grips, go get mental health help. There's no shame in it. Get counseling. And let's see. Here's a couple practical tips if you're going through a nasty divorce too that I tell all my guys. Stay off of social media, all right? Especially if you're dating a starlet or, some beautiful woman. No way are you on any social media. Why? You're going to stir the pot, all right? We don't want to stir the pot. We want to get out of this with your skin, all right? And more if we can. So don't give her any excuses to deny a proper settlement or a good offer, all right? And that beautiful babe that you've been dating, keep her off of social media. And to that, don't even introduce her to your kids. Let's get through this without them going to mom's house and saying, wow, daddy's new girlfriend looks like Miss America, all right? It happens. Some of these guys are, they're finally free from a couple years or more of a sexless marriage. And they have they're terrific guys who are in shape and fit, got their money right, got a target on their back, which is another thing I talked to them about. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm telling everybody who's looking for a lawyer, search vigorously and select wisely. There's no rush. If nobody's been served yet, make sure you have somebody that you can work with and it's got your best interest and is going to do what needs to get done. And once you choose somebody, listen to them. Listen, okay? Because if you don't, why are you paying them? Why'd you hire them? There's enough lawyers out there. Pick somebody that you like and that you're going to listen to. This is kind of, for lack of a better word, crass, but it's true. Like it or not, the way the laws are set up in most jurisdictions, unless you want to be in a situation that could bring a world of hurt, if you want to get married, you should try to marry someone who's at your economic level or higher. It's just the way the laws are written. If you are making a lot of money, let's say mid six figures, and she's never made more than $40,000 or $50,000 a year, she doesn't have the earning capacity. Like, let's say, so you're going to be on the short end all along the way, all right? Whether it's child support or your spousal support, or in some jurisdictions, alimony pendente lite, in some jurisdictions, alimony. I mean, so the economics are always a factor, unless you're one of the few fortunate ones who have an amicable parting of the ways, where she says, I don't want anything.
There was a great illustration of this recently, too, because when Dr. Dre settled with his wife, I think he's paying $300,000 a month to her. Nobody really said too much aside from that sucks. But when Kelly Clarkson, about a week later, settled, and she's paying her ex-husband, who was making less money than she was. So what Jonathan's talking about, don't marry down. She's paying something like $250,000 a month. It's quite a bit. It's slightly less than Dre, but it's still several $100,000. Everybody lost their ever-loving mind. Oh, on what ground should a grown-ass man have to rely on, like his wife or his ex-wife to pay for his lifestyle and blah blah blah? It's. I mean, I'd love to say it's bizarre, but it doesn't surprise me that, nobody says anything when Dre's got to pay big bucks, but Kelly Clarkson, everybody loses their mind because he should be able to stand on his own 2 feet. Yeah.
I mean, the Dre situation is a 2-hour discussion because it's so interesting, at least to me, and California laws are what they are, just like Ontario laws are. They're nothing like many of the other jurisdictions that I'm familiar with, based on what I've read about Ontario. British Columbia trumps Ontario, frankly, and we could talk about that for a minute. But one other thing that I wanted to point out when you're talking about problem women and vetting, you really got to know their past. Now, I'm a baby boomer, so I date women or dated women who have been married like 2 or 3 times, and the story is always the same. Oh, he was this, he was that, or he was abusive, or he was lazy. Like, it's never their fault. It's like always like.
I have a video coming out soon on that topic.
So obviously my eyes are wide
Yeah.
open and my ears are wide open, and I just listen and process and say, holy smokes.
She's the common denominator in every single one of those matrimonial equations. And if she's always pointing and sputtering at him, he cheated, he was abusive, he was financially abusive, blah, blah, blah. Like, one of the questions you can ask women when they start, lecturing you on how bad all men are that have been in her life. So what did you do wrong in those relationships?
Right.
Right. Like, see if they're willing to take some ownership.
Another tip off for me, at least, was when I heard I only got XYZ in my first divorce, or he really got away with so much. And I know there were accounts in the Grand Cayman Islands, and he had a lawyer who was a bulldog. And so whenever I would hear something like that, I'd be like, go be somebody else's problem. This is crazy. So I'm mentioning this kind of thing because maybe there's guys out there who haven't heard this, or they don't have anyone to tell them, trust your gut and listen. And this is not made up stuff. It happens all the time. And you want to try to never be in a position where you are in a bad divorce or you're trying to divorce a difficult person. I've seen the most vindictive people in my divorce practice. And at the end of the day, they end up spending everybody's money when they could send their kids to Europe or wherever. It's just crazy. But it goes back to the emotions. Don't let it get the best of you.